I've always prided myself as someone who wasn't easily influenced, but TikTok has taken it to another level. I don't even want to put it on my face right now because I have to say it's not worth the hype. Not worth the hype. It's not worth the hype. It's not worth the hype. YSL Candy Glaze. This is worth the hype. I'm obsessed with this. Hi friends, welcome back to my beauty room. My name is Elle and I create beauty videos from the perspective of someone who has acne-prone, textured, oily skin. If that sounds like you, then I hope you stick around to the end of this video. Today, I'm gonna share some of my hot takes and unpopular opinions about some viral makeup products, and I'll let you know whether or not I think they are worth the hype, just nice to have, or not worth the hype at all. Take all of my opinions with a grain of salt because they are based on my own perspective and experience and preferences, but I would also love to know what your opinions on some of these products are. Do you agree, disagree? Leave them in the comments below. Let's talk about the infamous Rhode Peptide lip tint. Now, I feel like there's a lot of controversy going on with this product. I don't want to spread false information because I didn't really dive too deep into it, but I think it has something to do with a tree nut oil in this product. So if you are allergic to certain ingredients, I would definitely look into it because apparently there's no really warning in here. So I would say purchase and use at your own risk. Dig into the ingredients and the complaints that some people have. I have 3 different versions. I have the shade Toast, the shade Espresso, and then the unscented original version. My favorite right now is the shade Toast. It's like a nudish pink color. It looks really good with a lip liner. Look at that color. This product gives a really beautiful gloss, as you can tell. It's very cushiony on the lips, slightly sticky, but not overly sticky where you just want to take it off. It does have a moisturizing element to it, but if I'm being honest and 100%, I do not think this is moisturizing enough for my lips. I don't put this on before makeup. This is more like a makeup product for me or a gloss product than it is a moisturizing lip balm. If you have really chapped lips, if they're cracked lips, you're better off using Vaseline or Aquaphor. I have done the comparison, and if anything, these are one of those lip products that once you remove it or you take it off, your lips are actually drier than once it started. So I would say that these products are a nice to have. It's definitely enjoyable to apply on the lips. I really like to use it now that there's tinted colors as just a makeup product, especially if you are a natural makeup girly. But in terms of practicality for a lip treatment, I would consider this not worth the hype. You know I couldn't make this video without the Glow Recipe Dewdrop. This is such a viral product, beloved product. If you look on TikTok, if you watch any TikTok videos with this, it just gives you this gorgeous, beautiful, hydrated glow, and that is why it is so popular. I think the niacinamide is supposed to support your, like, brightening up your skin, and when you apply it on, it does give a moisturizing effect. But again, if I were to consider this a skincare product over a under makeup product, I consider this more of a makeup product because I wouldn't wear this alone without moisturizer underneath. It is very serum-like. So if you're wondering, you know, what is the texture like? It's like a serum, but it kind of sets a little sticky, and that's what makes it good for makeup. But if I were to just wear as a skincare product, I personally would not like it just because I hate sticky serums. I really do. I just can't stand them. And I think that's kind of what gives you the glow, is because it has that tack to it. It leaves your skin looking glowy, but it's also good for makeup because it creates like this very nice smooth base for your makeup. But I don't know if it's worth the hype, especially if you have acne prone skin like me. Like, we have so much other concerns that I just don't know if this is like what I would consider a good skincare product. But as a makeup product, I think it's worth the hype. Like, I like it as a primer. It's time to roll up the sleeves because if you watch TikTok beauty videos, you know that people love to mix products. So of course, I couldn't make this video without the Drunk Elephant D-Bronzi drops. And this is a product that I have a very love-hate relationship with, because before it went viral on TikTok, I actually really enjoyed having this product. It was one of those makeup items that I stole from my mom in college, and I used to just mix it in with my foundations because in the summertime I would get deeper and my foundations never really matched my skin tone. So instead of buying a new foundation, I would mix in these D-Bronzi drops and it would create the foundation that actually matched my skin tone. However, after all of the hype that it's gotten from teenagers, middle schoolers, and people my age, I had to take a step back and question whether this is worth the however many dollars. I think it's almost $40. And I have to say it's not worth the hype. I have actually fallen out of love using this, and I still only use it as a practical product. And again, if you consider what this product actually is, what the function actually is, and what you personally use it for, it really does nothing except give you a bronzy glow. And you could do that by mixing products together, by buying a darker foundation that might be, you know, cheaper than this one. And this isn't even that beneficial for your skin. It's literally an anti-pollution sunshine drop. Like, who thought this was necessary? This is another product that is very similar to the Glow Recipe Dew Drops. I feel like these were low-key very inspired by each other. Something like that, because where are these drops coming from and who created this idea of drops? I really just feel like it's one of those marketing products that we didn't think we needed, but now that it's hyped up, we feel like it might be necessary in our routine, but it's not. It's another nice to have. Again, it's not what I would consider a necessary skincare product, especially if you have acne-prone textured skin like me. I'm going to use it because I have it, and I'm gonna mix it in with the next viral foundation that I have. So the foundation that I'm using today is the Glossier foundation in medium 4. I did get the scent in PR, and I do have a full in-depth review on this on my channel. So I will link the video about this foundation in the cards and in the description box if you want to learn more. This is my skin without the Glossier Stretch Foundation, and this is my skin with the Glossier Stretch Foundation. Another foundation that went super viral this year was the Haus Labs foundation and the Makeup by Mario foundation. The Haus Labs foundation I did create a YouTube shorts on, and spoiler, I didn't really like that foundation and I never bought a full size of it. And the Makeup by Mario foundation, I just didn't think I needed to try it. But this foundation shocked me a little bit because Glossier is very much like light coverage kind of person, skin-like finish. If you've ever tried their skin tint, you know that they give you no coverage, and it's not really for the girl with like acne-prone, textured, scarred skin like me. However, if you watch that video, you'll know that I was pleasantly surprised by this foundation, and I'll show you what it looks like on my skin mixed with the D-Bronzi drops. But this shade is a pretty good match for me already, so I wouldn't necessarily need to use this. Gonna shake it up. I'm gonna do a small amount of this and 1 pump of the Glossier foundation. Give it a bit of a mix and then apply it on. Do you see that? The Glossier foundation has already given me like full coverage. I have a breakout right here right now. It's really bothering me, but we're going to ignore it. Because it's the texture of a moisturizer, I feel like it gives you a very natural finish. It does have a lot of hydrating ingredients too, so if you have dry skin, I feel like throughout the day this would wear beautifully on the skin. If you have oily skin, fair warning, because it does get pretty oily throughout the day. I have to wear a really good powder with this in order for it to wear over 5 to 8 hours without making me look like a grease ball. And I do usually have to blot a lot with this foundation, but initial application, I just love the way that it makes my skin look. It makes my skin just look so healthy, so fresh, and it gives me just the right amount of coverage without looking heavy on the skin. And again, the color match is pretty near perfect. I did mix in the D-Bronzi drops to give me a little bit more of a glow, and the D-Bronzi drops does, you know, tint the foundation a little bit, so if it makes my skin look a little orange, that's probably why. All in all, I would say the D-Bronzi drops are not worth the hype, and the Glossier foundation is worth the hype. I think this is really good. I would highly recommend if you have combo dry skin, and if you have oily skin, I would say you could give this a shot, because as long as you pair it with a good powder, you might really enjoy the texture and the finish of the way that this foundation looks. This is the Kosas Reveal Concealer, as if you've never seen it on your TikTok For You page. This really shocked me. It was another one of those products that I just hesitated to buy whenever something goes viral. For the most part, unless I'm personally already interested in it, I tend to step back and not want to purchase it until I've seen it enough times where I'm like, okay, let me try it. And this Kosas concealer was one of those. I think I was the last person on the freaking bandwagon with this one, and I did purchase a mini of this. And as you can see, I have the full size because I really liked it. And it has a lot of yellow undertones to it. I would mainly only recommend this if you have mainly like warm tone yellow undertones, because a lot of the shades in this line are not very cool tone or neutral skin friendly. So just fair warning there. It's also a clean beauty product, so people have had a lot of complaints about this spoiling on them pretty quickly, and that's why I would recommend getting the mini first. And it does have this slight scent to it, but it doesn't, like, I think I'm just used to it by now. And I feel like all clean beauty brands have like this weird scent to it. What really surprised me about this was how easy it was to blend on my skin. So I'm gonna apply it under my eyes. And because it's not a very creamy or very liquidy, it's very much in the middle texture, the formula just blends so seamlessly into the skin. It reminds me a lot of the Glossier foundation, where the texture is skin-like, the finish is skin-like, and it does give you that medium coverage that you might be looking for. Also, I am Asian, if you can't tell, so my undertones are pretty yellow and golden. Oh man, I totally regret mixing the D-Bronzi drops in with the foundation, because now I feel like everything is just not matching perfectly, but that's okay. This is just a trial video. It's not heavy at all, and it makes it really easy to blend under the eyes because of that. And if you don't have a lot of like dark blemishes to really cover, I feel like this concealer is just enough coverage. But that is something I would also consider a downside about this concealer. For someone like me who might have some really bad skin days like today, I usually want a little bit more coverage with my concealers, and sometimes when I am using this, I don't feel like it's enough coverage. It will mainly only cover my redness and maybe slightly fade some dark spots, but I would need to apply on a color corrector underneath or go in with a different concealer if I want full coverage. So if you are a natural makeup girly, this is what I would consider a great concealer for you. I would say that this concealer is worth the hype, just depending on what you're looking for in a concealer. There has been so many concealers that have come out lately, and I'm gonna do a full concealer roundup to compare these with a bunch of other ones. But in terms of virality, I do think that this is worth the hype, and I can see why it's worth the hype. Bronzer. I'm not excited for this. I'm not excited for this. This is a product I would say, it's not worth the hype. It's not worth the hype. It's not worth the hype. I don't even want to put it on my face right now because I'm scared. I'm scared that it's going to ruin my makeup, but I'm not going anywhere after this, so it's fine. This is the Makeup by Mario SoftSculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. It is supposed to be like a multi-use product, but most people who I've seen recommend this use it as a cream bronzer. This is very much a not oily skin friendly product, especially if you hate looking like a grease ball, if you don't look like you just got out of the gym, if you don't want to look wet. This is not for you. If you do love a wet looking kind of bronzer, then this is going to be for you. So this is in the shade medium dark. The best way I can really describe this product is that it reminds me a lot of just like a bronzer balm, or like a blush balm, where it's very, like, you know what a balm is. It's very just like glowy and wet. And that's just unfortunately what I don't want. Like, I don't want my forehead to be shiny. You can't see it. Like, you're not going to be able to see it on camera. It kind of actually looks good right now. Like, now I just look like a liar. And I would say if you are going to purchase this, I would go a shade deeper than you expect because it's a pretty sheer formula. And because of that, you're really gonna have to like dig in there and build it up. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, the color is kind of cool toned. So it's more like a sculpt color for me than it is a bronzer color. And if I do want a glowy bronzer, like cream bronzer, I think I would go for something a little bit warmer. At a certain point, I look a little bit patchy. I look a little bit dead. I'm gonna zoom in. I don't know if you can see, but my forehead is like, you can't see on camera and it's so sad. My forehead looks wet and not in an appealing way. It looks like the sun hit my forehead and I am now sweating, okay? It's not giving. Unfortunately, this didn't work for me. I don't think it's a bad product necessarily, but I don't think it's worth the hype, especially for someone who has acne prone, textured, oily skin. Of course, the Charlotte Tilbury wands. So I have tried her contour wand in the past. I finished the entire bottle and I never repurchased it because for the price, it's just not worth the hype. I found that the contour wand was slightly patchy and wasn't pigmented enough. So personally, I wouldn't recommend it and I don't think it is worth it. As for the Glow Gasm Beauty Light Wand in the shade Pink Gasm, which was made famous from Madison Beer, this is a gorgeous product, but it's not for me, and at least not in the way that Madison Beer wears it. It's a highly pigmented highlighter liquid blush. It's a very sheer, very easy to blend on the skin, super reflective, and the color is gorgeous. I really do enjoy this color on my skin tone, but the problem with it is because it is, you know, very much a highlight product. For me personally, I didn't find it flattering on my textured skin. It was a beautiful color, it was a beautiful formula, but it's just not flattering on my textured skin. So I wouldn't recommend this if you don't like to enhance your texture. Of course, you can still wear it if you have textured skin. I do think it still looks beautiful, but for me personally, I actually prefer her matte blush wands more. If you're like me and you like to kind of blur your cheeks a little bit and then add highlights on the high points of your cheeks, I prefer the Beauty Blush Wand. The shade that I have today is in the Peach Pop shade, and I was really surprised by this, I'm not gonna lie. It is very similar to the matte Rare Beauty blushes, like liquid blushes. So it's not necessarily worth the price, but I would say this is kind of worth the hype. I love this formula. Personally, I really enjoy this because it is less scary than the Rare Beauty liquid blushes. It is not as pigmented. It is not as scary to work with. You kind of just apply on a lot and then it just blends into your cheeks so seamlessly, as you can see here. And it is a matte formula, so it's not really going to enhance the texture that you have on your cheeks. Is it the best packaging? No. Is it the most sanitary? No, but I do find it to be a fun product to use and it gives me the best looking flush. So Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Blush Wands, the highlight version and the matte version, I would consider to be worth the hype. Is it worth the price? Definitely not, but it is worth the hype in my opinion. Next up, let's just talk about eye makeup. I feel like so many things have gone viral in terms of eye products, so it was really hard for me to choose. I am gonna go with the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette, just because personally it's been one of my favorite palettes of the year, and I do think it is worth the hype. I was kind of shocked how much I loved it actually. So I'll show you my favorite look to do with it. This is what the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette looks like, as if you've never seen it before in its full glory. If you like a glittery, glimmery, reflective eye look, this is worth the hype. If you like powdery, soft eyeshadows that are buildable and not initially pigmented, this is going to be for you. If you like a soft glam look versus a very cool toned glam look, this is worth the hype. The color I really like to use is this dusty rose pink shade, and I always use this first as a blending shade. Apply this all over the outer corner and the crease. And then to smoke it out, I'm using this shade right here, which is a warm tone, mid-tone brown. Just gonna put it on the outer corner. And that's another trick with this palette. You could always just pack it on and then blend if you want more initial pigment. Then, because I just wanted to show up on camera, I'm going to use the deepest, darkest chocolate shade right here and put it on the outer corners and create a slight blended wing. For the sparkly shade, I'm excited because these always look so pretty. I think I'm gonna go in with my go-to, which is this middle shade right here. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Space Cowboy. It has like this beige base with silver glitters into it. And the formula, I would say, is similar to Space Cowboy, but a little bit more glittery and glimmery. This is such a satisfying shimmer formula, y'all. And it looks like glitter on the eyes. Like, you don't need to put on glitter. It's very micro, fine sparkles. That's why I would say that this palette is worth the hype. Like, I think this formula is, it's so special to me. Like, I don't want to like add on to the hype, but for me personally, if you love a shimmery formula, I heard Sephora is going to do another 20% off in December. So if you missed out on it, maybe you can grab this palette. I'm going to finish it up with some mascara and eyeliner, and I'll be right back. This is the eye look that I did with the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. It is so shimmery, so glittery, and so freaking reflective. I'm obsessed. Every time I apply this on my eyes, I just like, I have to stare at them. I have to stare at them. This is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes of all time. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Setting Spray. I feel like this, I don't know if this went viral, but this is also a very hyped up product. I didn't expect to put it in this video, but I always use the setting spray. I do think that this is nice to have, but I don't think it's worth the hype. I actually find that the Milani Make It Last is just as good as a setting spray. I do enjoy the experience of this. I love the smell of it, and it does make my makeup last. But at the end of the day, I feel like if there's a drugstore version that's just as good, then it's not necessarily worth the hype, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm gonna go in with setting powder, and y'all, I think that we went on a setting powder craze this year. I'm gonna give you a minute to guess in the comments what setting powder you think that I'm gonna use in this video out of all of the ones that went viral this year. I'll give you a second. If you guess the one size powder, then you are so right. Specifically, the Ultra Pink powder went crazy viral. I feel like this was mainly hyped up not really because of the formula itself, but because it's one of the pinkest powders that has been sold. One of the most pigmented pink powders. I also have the shade Sweet Honey, and I'm gonna use this all over my face and the Ultra Pink powder under my eyes, and I'll let you know if I think this is worth the hype. Just applying it slightly under my eyes. And then of course I'm going in with a little powder puff. I'm going to do a slight bake under my eyes. We're not going too crazy now. And then just blend. Wow, my under eyes look freaking flawless. I don't know why I'm surprised. This is the Sweet Honey powder, and I'm going to use this one all over the rest of my face. Now this powder is very, very, very matte, so I would go in with a small brush and put it in targeted areas, and then take a bigger brush and kind of buff it through the rest of your skin very lightly. I like to kind of pack it on where my T-zone is. If you don't do it this way, you are going to look a little bit cakey in real life. In the camera, if you apply a lot of this, you'll look flawless. Like, I think that that this powder wasn't really made to look good in real life. This powder was made to look good on camera. Like every time I'm on camera, I'm likely wearing this powder because it keeps my oils at bay. It keeps me from looking super sweaty and glowy, and it prevents me from having to like blot so much. So this is what the powder looks like on my skin, and overall I would consider it 100% worth the hype, especially if you have really oily skin or need your skin to look matte on camera. This is my go-to powder, and if you are going to wear it for everyday wear, just use a very light amount because it is probably the mattest powder I've ever had. Okay, the fun part, the Patrick Ta blushes have gone crazy this year. It is the duo with the cream blush and the regular blush. This is the shade She's a Doll, and it is one of my favorite pink blush colors. I like this personally better than the Dior pink cool tone blush color. I think that this actually leans a little bit more of a warm tone pink than a cool tone pink. If you really look at it in comparison, it's less purpley. It's definitely more of a reddish dolly pink. And personally, this is gonna be an unpopular opinion. This shade specifically I think is worth the hype, but the duos of Patrick Ta's blushes are just not worth the hype. I think that they are nice to have, but they're not worth the hype. And that's just a personal opinion. That's just my opinion. Please don't hate me for it. My problem is I think that these are just overly kind of pigmented, and if they're not overly pigmented, they're not pigmented enough. Like I have another shade called She's Blushing. I also don't really like the cream formula of this, and I think that's what is really getting me. I think if it was just the powder blush, I would love this. But because of the price, yes, you get 2 for 1, but I kind of wish he would just get rid of the cream, give me the powder, and charge me less. Highlight, highlight, highlight. I have to give it to Miss Selena Gomez because she made me fall in love with highlight again. I stopped using highlight like most people after 2016. I stopped beaming and shining, but Rare Beauty and Miss Selena Gomez gave me back my shine. This is the highlighter, what is this called? Silky Touch highlighter from Rare Beauty. If you haven't heard about this, you're living under a rock. This is worth the hype. All the way worth the hype. It is very beaming. It is very like old-fashioned highlight, Anastasia Beverly Hills highlight, but the formula is special. It's, I think, a baked formula, but it feels very silky and powdery, and when you blend it onto the skin, it just is so freaking reflective. It's so gorgeous, and just pick one shade. You only really need one shade that aligns with your undertones and your skin tone, and it's going to be so gorgeous on you. I'm going to use the brush that Rare Beauty sells. I also love this highlighter brush. It's just your typical highlighter brush. Do a little tap, and then I just apply it on the high points of my cheeks, and then I build it up to where oh, you see that? Do you see that? So that's kind of like where I stop, just because I'm gonna get oily throughout the day, but you could always go crazier because nobody's gonna stop you. This will enhance your texture though, so just fair warning. For lips, I sometimes will go in with a lip liner and then I'll go back in with Rhode, but I want to show you another viral lip product, Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencils. I'm just gonna say it right off the bat, these are not worth the hype. These are not worth the hype. I guess the shades are nice, but they're nothing special to me. Like, in comparison to Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude, in comparison to the NYX pencils, they're nothing special. I would say though, these are creamier than the NYX lip liners, so if you want a creamier formula, this is creamier in that way. I like it, but I'm not like obsessed with it in comparison to the lip liners I already have. Am I going to use it because I have it? Yes. So it's a nice to have. I also have the gift set, and it comes with a black, white, and then dark brown pencil, and you're supposed to also use this as a like eyeliner or anywhere around the face, and it's a terrible formula for eyeliner. It is way too creamy. It transfers as eyeliner. I do not recommend this as eyeliner. I'm gonna use the shade Anywhere Caffeine, which is like a nude cool tone brown. And because it's so creamy, I feel like the tip just gets flat really fast. YSL Candy Glaze. This is worth the hype. I'm obsessed with this. At first, when I tried these, I was kind of disappointed because I think I got the wrong colors. I have the shade 15 and I also have the shade 13. 15 is like I think it was called Nude Pleasure. It's kind of like a rosy brown. It's appearing maybe a little bit more reddish on camera, but just know it's slightly rosier. And then I also have the shade in number 13. My biggest disappointment about these is that the shade was just too light for me. For my skin tone, these do require a lip liner, unfortunately. Now, keep in mind, this isn't much of a lip balm. Like, this isn't going to moisturize your lips either. It's more of a lipstick kind of product. It's very glossy versus moisturizing. I personally love the shade number 15 with a brown lip liner. It just, look at that. Look at, it's like a pinky nude, and then you have a brown lip liner. And I feel like it just makes my lips look so plump, so juicy. And the formula is just glossy enough where it doesn't smear everywhere. The Hourglass lip balm formula smears everywhere. That also went viral, and I don't like it as much as the Candy Glaze. I personally prefer these because they stay in place. They're a thicker formula, but because of that, it's not like smearing everywhere. It doesn't melt like crazy, and it gives you that like plushness because it's a little thicker. YSL Candy Glazes are totally worth the hype. Definitely were meant to go viral, and I kind of want every shade. Those were some of my thoughts on the most viral makeup of the year. Let me know if you agreed with some of those thoughts or if you disagree. Leave your comments down below and I'll be sure to reply. There are plenty more viral makeup products that I have tried this year that I didn't include in this video. I've also had some really bad experiences, and if you want to hear about those, then please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I create content from the perspective of someone who has acne-prone, textured, oily skin. If that sounds like you, then I hope you stick around. But as always, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye!